Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to have a look at the latest on the snow and very cold conditions we do have at the moment. It's going to be lasting all of this week and potentially longer, as we'll see on the longer range models at the end of the video. It does look like it's going to be turning milder next weekend to around 7 days time, before it could turn colder once again for the Christmas period. It's extended range stuff, but that is what some of the models are suggesting today. So we'll look at that in the second half of the video, but the first half of the video, we're very much going to concentrate on the risk of some heavy snow around, not only today, but over the course of the next few days as well. We did see some snow last week, but I do think this coming week is going to be a lot more active for snowfall. And as you can see on the live radar at the moment, we do have some very heavy snow breaking out across parts of central and southern England, and we'll be having a look at where the risk is for the rest of today into tomorrow, as it's a very slow moving of small low pressure, very badly modelled at the moment, and it could give a lot of snow in some areas. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure you like and subscribe, and remember to follow me on Twitter as well. The link's in description. So if we do start on the live radar, you can see we do have a lot of precipitation around at the moment in the south, which has not seen a lot over the course of the last few days. If we do start further northwards though, we still got those traditional wintry showers coming in off the North Atlantic and off the North Sea for eastern areas, again giving snow towards coastal areas and further inland where they do last. Again, this has been happening all of this week, and the snowfall totals there are starting to really mount up. It could still be rain along the immediate coast, but pretty much anywhere inland here it is now falling as snow. Now, if we go further southwards, we had a lot of snow showers coming in on northwesterly wind yesterday, and areas around Liverpool, Manchester, down towards Chester, these areas, and coming further inland, saw a lot of snow actually yesterday. Some of it quite temporary, because a lot of these areas are close to the coast, so we did see mixing of milder air at times, but did see significant snow at times, and that all moved down the west coast. And what happened this morning is we saw this large area of snow here through parts of West Midlands now, but it was initially down across southern Wales and southwest England, develop. Now, this was not modelled at all. We did not see anything with this. A few showers, yes, drifting inland, but we did not see an area of low pressure like this, or a small little system develop and give heavy snow. Some areas here have seen 5 to 10 centimetres this morning from this moving very slowly as it spins northwards. Now, we did think there was going to be an area of snow in the southeast, and that is now developing, but we did not know about this area of snow at all. And again, it's one of these issues we have with the models when we do get small systems like this, very unstable flows, very cold air mixing within it. We can get these small areas of rain, or small areas of precipitation, that if it fell as rain, we wouldn't think anything of it. But when it falls as snow and it can start to cause issues, we do get headaches when we have a look at these sort of systems. Now, we have got this area of snow now developing in the southeast. It's rain right in the Channel, maybe for parts of the Isle of Wight, but right along the coast, sort of mixed sleet, freezing rain, and then readily turning to snow inland. Heavy snow now falling in Southampton, central southern England, and this does look likely to pivot into the London area as well, parts of Essex and Kent. Now, the models also do have it moving further northwards as well, and inland, and some models even have it tracking up through the East Midlands, East Anglia, maybe even into parts of northern England through tomorrow. Now, of course, it is all completely different between each model, and of course most of the models didn't even forecast this area of snow here. So who really knows what's going to be happening with this area of snow? I do think there's a very high chance areas in southeast England, where we do have the yellow warning at the moment, will see snow, significant snow in some areas, and I do think areas outside of this, even into Oxford, perhaps into Cambridge, East Anglia, couldn't even rule out up into the East Midlands, towards Birmingham, Nottingham, seeing some snow over the course of this evening into tomorrow as well. Whether it will be significant is whether any of this low pressure system actually stays intact, but it could do, just similar to how this low pressure system here, or this area of snow, stayed intact when the models didn't develop it at all. The possibility is for this area of snow, which is very large at the moment, a bit larger than we probably initially anticipated. If that does stay intact as it moves inland, which is quite possible, it could give widespread snow, and we'll have to see how that does develop. But at the moment, this area of snow is moving in, so if you are in the London area, southeast England, I'll try and post this in around an hour's time, so it's still pretty up to date. you'll be able to see this snow is heading your way, and by this afternoon into the evening, it should be giving quite a big covering there in some areas. Now I'm recording this around midday, and if we do a look at the temperatures, you'll be able to see it is cold, especially because eastern areas. We have had fog warning in force this morning, as it was very cold there with dense fog, and this has kept the temperatures pretty much around freezing all day. So that's another issue with this. Any snow that falls out of the sky here will readily settle, especially as we get towards dark as well, where icy surfaces start to develop. That's why, again, I say there is a risk for a wider area, because we don't need heavy snowfall rates to be getting accumulations. Even if we just saw an hour or two of lighter snow or moderate snow in some areas further northwards, outside of the initial warning zone, we could still see problems because the ground is completely frozen solid. So it's another very cold day, and again it will be another very cold night. And if this snow doesn't arrive before sunset, and if it does arrive overnight, probably not overnight, but like by 5 p.m, by the time the sun is down, it's dark, it will readily accumulate widely, even on darker surfaces on roads, and that's why there could be significant issues, even though in the grand scheme this is quite a small area of precipitation and probably will only give its heaviest snowfall rates in certain areas. But as I said, we'll have to see exactly how this does develop over the course of the next few hours. It's going to be very interesting to watch. So if you do want to know what's going to be happening with this, there's no point looking at any real forecast. There's no point looking at any individual app. The best thing to do is literally to look at the live radar and see where it is going. Because as we'll see in the short range models in a minute, the precipitation charts, they're all showing vastly different results with something that is developing in the next few hours. So yeah, we'll have to see exactly what happens with that. Now, if we do go over to the weather warnings, we do have multiple yellow warnings. We've got this snow and ice warning from midday today until midday tomorrow. Again, very similar to the warnings we've had recently. A few centimetres on low levels and 2 to 5 centimetres over higher ground. High likelihood lower end of the impacts for showers. And then we've got the more interesting snow and ice warnings in the south. Now, we've got this one warning that will expire by the time you're watching this, and that's because the snow has pushed in slightly further inland earlier than we initially anticipated, and again could give a few centimetres. And as we saw on the live radar, I'm thinking this is giving more than a few centimetres. The only problem I'd say with this is because it's towards coastal areas, the ground might not be as cold. So yes, the snowfall rates could be very high, but perhaps accumulations not so much. So we'll have to see. But it does say here, a mixture of rain and snow showers. From what we saw on the live radar, it does look like quite a compact, very large area, generally, compared to what the models were showing, very large area of quite heavy snow. So again, perhaps what is happening in central southern England is a little bit more than we had initially anticipated yesterday in the past few days. So it could give more snow than expected and could give it to a more widespread area. Now, of course, we've got this other yellow warning that comes into force at 6 p.m. until 9 a.m. tomorrow. Perhaps this needs to be moved slightly further forward, because that's in 6 hours' time, and we're already seeing precipitation starting to push in for the southern extent of this. And again, 2 to 5 centimetres widely, up to 10 centimetres. I still do think those snowfall totals are the most likely amount, but again, it all depends on where the snow does move. Some models are having it moving further northwards, and that's why I think parts of the Midlands, East Anglia are into play for some snow later tonight into tomorrow. But if it just stalls and pivots and goes back into the North Sea, some areas in Kent and Essex I think could see more than 10 centimetres of snow. So yeah, we'll have to see exactly how that does develop. Again, it lasts into tomorrow, and then we have another snow and ice warning up into parts of the Northern Isles of Scotland, for potentially 2 to 5 centimetres and maybe 10 to 20 centimetres over higher ground, again for a lot of snow showers pushing in. And if we have a look at Tuesday, those two warnings in force still, and then another snow warning in force for Scotland that it comes into force on Tuesday all the way to Thursday, again just for the traditional snow showers pushing in, and with the wind veering more northeasterly could bring the east coast in more. So areas across northeast England, East Midlands, East Anglia, maybe even down into southeastern areas could be impacted by snow showers over the course of the next 2 or 3 days. And of course, with weather fronts trying to push in off the Atlantic, small low pressure system coming round, we could see more heavy persistent snow this coming week, and that is something that will be highlighted in the short range models in a minute. Now, if we do over to the UKV, which is traditionally the chart we have a look at for our shorter range, you can see it's got that area of snow from the 3 o'clock run in southwestern parts. But of course, the 3 p.m. run yesterday didn't show it really at all, apart from a few showers. Now that does move inland, perhaps even further northwards, before spiralling away, but here has it degrading quite significantly by the time this video comes out. But as from the live radar, it's still holding quite strong. The showers towards central, southern and southeastern England are very similar in terms of, sort of their timings to what we're seeing on the live radar, but perhaps more extensive. The Isle of Wight is covered here in snow on the live radar, but not on the UKV, and it does push inland and start to give heavier snow later this evening, and it does move quite far eastwards, and its pivot on the western extent does degrade away. Again, we'll have to see how that does develop this evening before it moves in, tries to push further northwards, before sort of petering out. But if we watch tomorrow, you can start to see still there are a few snow showers embedded in with this that move further northwards and westwards into parts of the Midlands. And that's why I do think there's the possibility of still seeing some snow through tomorrow in the Midlands, maybe further northwards as well, if the snow does stay intact. Because this is the reason why there's snow here and sort of thicket cloud is because that system is still in place, but it's decreased in strength and lost a lot of its energy. But if it does stay intact, there still could be some snow around further northwards through tomorrow. Beyond that, we do have generally a drier day tomorrow. Snow showers do start to push into northern and eastern areas through tomorrow. And then we see a weather front bump up from the south, could give some heavier snow across the far southwest, but remains mostly into France. And then we see a lot of snow showers down the northeast coasts. And then we've got to watch what happens through Wednesday and Thursday, as there could be some small systems that start to develop within the flow that give more widespread, heavier snow. And we could see that here through Friday with this little low pressure system that's embedded within the colder air, bringing more widespread snow. This could run down central areas and western areas and give heavy snow on its eastern edge, may turn back more towards rain on its western edge. So it's got slightly milder upper air temperatures embedded in it, could slightly rise the dew point, give a higher dew point that could give a bit of rain, but we'll have to see exactly what happens with that over the course of the next few days. But again, the UKV is very uncertain with what's happening, especially with the snow today and over the course of the next 3 or 4 days. And again, I don't think there's any point really looking at these models beyond sort of 48 hours, as they do keep chopping and changing. And as we saw by the area of snow in the West Midlands and South West England this morning, the models are not even picking up on stuff that's 12 hours away. So again, we'll have to see what happens, but I would definitely keep an eye on the radar. That's the best thing to really have a look at, especially over the course of this afternoon and evening with that snow in the southeast potentially pushing northwards and westwards. If you look at the max temperatures over the course of the next few days, you can see today it's a freezing cold day, widely around that freezing mark, maybe max temperatures of 1 or 2 degrees in a few spots. Into tomorrow, overnight temperatures dropping well down, and again, the far southeast, not too cold tonight, with a bit more cloud around, but again, that could be accompanied by snow falling. Elsewhere, -5, quite widely, so again, very cold. And into tomorrow afternoon, once again, temperatures really hovering around that freezing mark, maybe 3 or 4 in the far east, with a bit more cloud around. As we head through Monday evening, those temperatures are going to plummet in Scotland, widely sort of -15 degrees in places, and through Tuesday night, widely again -2 to -5. And again, where we have snow cover, it could be even colder than that. And into Tuesday afternoon, widely around freezing once again. Through Wednesday, freezing cold overnight, and into the day, 1 or 2 degrees, pretty much rinse and repeat. And then into Thursday, once again, bitterly cold overnight, and in the day, widely around freezing, and that continues into Friday, where widely it could be sort of -5 to maybe -10 through central and western areas. A widely bitterly cold evening. Geez, that is really cold. Again, it's the widespread nature of it. Locally, we always normally see sort of a -5 to -10 whenever we see colder air around, but this is widespread, and even in frost hollows, it could be colder than this. But the thing we have to watch out is for in the next couple of days is Saturday and Sunday, when the breakdown starts to come, what those temperatures will be, and whether we do see snow when the weather fronts do eventually try and push in. We'll have a look at that in a little bit more detail with the longer range models, the second half of the video, and of course over the next few days with the precipitation charts. Now, if we do go over to the icon run, again, just to compare what's happening over the next couple of days. Now, you can see not really showing any snow in the southwest of England into West Midlands at all. The odd couple of showers there, but nothing at all. So again, the icon run from 6 o'clock this morning, as that snow was probably pushing in, did not have it at all. So again, just shows you the uncertainty with this. and by around 3 p.m. when that snow is pushing in, it already is pushing in, the Icon Run has it offshore. So maybe the Icon Run is not the best run to have a look at today, but it does push in eventually, sort of degrade away and slowly move northwards. You can see it sort of, that low pressure system sort of redevelops in the North Sea where it doesn't move away. So could we see snow tracking up through East Anglia, the East Midlands, perhaps later today into tomorrow? We'll have to really keep an eye on that. Definitely is one of those where it could just nothing happen, or it could keep that snow intact and drop a few centimetres in places. And again, especially falling overnight, it could cause more issues. Beyond that, though, we do see generally just a lot of snow showers pushing into northern and east areas. The weather fronts try to arrive in the southwest, but don't give much at all. And later this week, again, Icon Run not doing particularly well with the snow charts. I definitely do think, again, not really having a sniff of much snow. And again, it didn't even decipher the snow in the West Midlands earlier today. So perhaps we might need to start having a look at different runs other than the Icon. Of course, keeping an eye on it, but again, it doesn't look like it's modelling the snow at the moment to a particularly high standard. If you have a look at the arpege and see what that is showing, again, modelling the snow across the southwest a little bit better. But again, this is the 6 o'clock run from this morning, so it's not great considering this probably came out as that snow was starting to fall, so not particularly useful, but it's still got it well forecast at the moment, holding on all rates around midday, and that snow started to come inland, so generally this does look reasonably similar to what we're seeing in reality. That snow eventually pushing in quite widely through early tomorrow morning, for degrading away and moving up northwards, and still holding on a little bit of snow there through the West Midlands, perhaps through tomorrow evening. Again, we'll have to see exactly what happens with this, as it does show a lot of snow petering out quite quickly over the course of a couple of hours. We're seeing a lot of snow around at the moment, so yes, it could degrade away very quickly, but we'll have to see what happens. I do definitely think it will stay a little bit intact as it moves further northwards. Through tomorrow, again, generally quite a dry day, but snow packing into the northern and eastern areas. Again, still a few snow showers across the West Midlands, maybe East Midlands and northern England into the northwest. So again, that small low pressure system that is developing at the moment could still hang on, still good, could give some bit of snow through central and northern areas through Monday and Tuesday. And beyond that, we do see weather fronts trying to approach from the southwest, but really not doing much, and generally just staying offshore. For we see a lot of snow showers packing into the northern and eastern coasts, and this again could come further inland, could develop into small systems, and that could give more widespread snow in places. So we'll have to see what happens with that. Now, if you go over to the GFS and see what that's showing over the course of the next couple of weeks, because of course we've got a lot of snow around at the moment, so we've got to keep an eye on the longer term. Of course, we've got a breakdown coming next weekend, around 7-8 days' time. At least we do think at the moment there's likely to be a breakdown. But what the GFS is suggesting today is we see a 2 or 3 day breakdown, but it turns very cold once again for Christmas, with bitterly cold easterly winds. Now, we're definitely seeing a trend from models to have that blocking holding on longer around that day 7 to day 10 mark. Still getting the milder air in, but pushing it away very quickly after that. Now, the best way to view this is just by simply having a look at the model. You can see very cold air around at the moment. Low pressure is getting pushed to our south, and we go back into a northerly wind for around Thursday time. Small little low pressure systems embedded there could give some more snow, maybe in the east at times, and quite widely potentially there. As we head towards next weekend, you can see a southerly wind starts to push in, very unsettled, and lower pressure, milder air generally completely dominating here. But we've got more blocking towards Greenland and the Arctic than initially forecasted a couple of days ago. And what happens is we go into a bitterly cold northerly wind for Wednesday the 21st. So 2 or 3 days of milder air, and then we go back bitterly cold, and the low pressures struggle to get in off the Atlantic once again. And look what happens here for Christmas. Easterly winds arrive with a Scandinavian high, and again, it doesn't look anything too crazy, but we have a look at the upper airs, it's bitterly cold because Scandinavia is very cold at the moment because we have such cold air flooding in at the moment. So it does mean any easterly wind we have coming up over the next couple of weeks is going to be very cold, just simply because the ground there is cold with a lot of snow around at the moment. So here for Boxing Day, the -10 isotherm is coming in for eastern England. Again, I don't know how snowy this chart would be because got quite slack winds there, but it could be extremely cold for Christmas and the general Christmas period. So I have to keep an eye on this. Definitely is a bit of a trend there for the blocking to hold on. We're seeing it very similar on the GEM2. And you can see, again, low pressure in control at the moment with a lot of cold air. Again, maybe small low pressure systems developing later this week that could give a bit more snow widely. Again, don't look at that in too much detail because it's going to chop and change quite a bit. And we'll focus on that over the course of the next few days a bit more. But eventually, the southerly winds push in. But that blocking never disappears from Greenland. The southerly winds get pushed away for northerly winds by around Wednesday the 21st. Very similar to the GFS, and the cold air is sinking southwards again, and this could fall again as snow. Now, of course, with that milder air pushing in, it's going to bring rain around, it's going to bring generally milder conditions. But we have to remember, it's only 2 or 3 days of milder air, and the ground will stay cold. So it does mean if we do see a return of the cold air mass, we will quickly cool down once again, and those ground temperatures will be back towards freezing, and anything falling out of the sky will fall as snow once we get that -5 isotherm back in. So yes, we could see a brief 2 or 3 day milder spell here, but both the GFS and the GEM are suggesting we go much colder again for around the 20th, 21st of December, and maybe from the GFS for the Christmas period as well. Now, if you have a look at the ECMWF, you'll be able to see that this actually doesn't suggest anything colder at day 10 at all. So there is still quite a bit of uncertainty. Again, it's day 10, so it's always going to be. But we do have low pressure involved at the moment. The southwesterly winds eventually arrive. The blocking is still there towards Greenland, but it's more of a west-based Greenland block, which means we actually stay in a westerly flow. Again, nothing ridiculously mild. Yes, milder air, but it's generally coming in off the Atlantic, not from the south, so it will get moderated. So it will be generally very unsettled, probably around average, maybe even slightly above average. Still that blocking towards Greenland, but positioned in a way that that cold air just stays generally over Greenland and towards northeast Canada, actually fueling these low pressure systems. So similar sort of pressure charts, but very much suggesting a hugely different outcome in terms of no northerly winds and probably not going cold at all for Christmas. But again, still very big uncertainty for this, and we'll have to keep an eye on what happens. Now, if we do have a look at the Ensemble members, which will give us even better sort of view of this, if we do quickly refresh it, because the 6 o'clock run has just come out. Again, you can see very cold over the course of the next week, really. Around the 19th, 20th, or 18th, 19th, we do drop well above average. Milder sector comes through, and then the GFS operational run with maybe about a third of the Ensemble members drop back colder once again. The general ensemble average is generally around the 1981-2010 mean, so no huge suggestion at this stage. But with both the GFS and the GM operational runs developing a northerly wind around that 21st, 22nd of December, after 2 or 3 days of milder air, it definitely is a real possibility. And of course, with a lot of blocking around at the moment, I do think there is a decent chance it does come off. Now, you can see there is quite a few big precipitation spikes over the course of the next day, so this is why I do think there's going to be very much a lot more precipitation around this week in the form of snow. You can see that, quite a few more big snow depth spikes. Again, quite a few perhaps for tomorrow, again varying quite a bit depending on how much they develop that system, and again a few more for around Wednesday time. So again, we have to keep an eye on that towards the middle of the week. We didn't see anything too major from the precipitation charts, but again, these things can appear very quickly, and then maybe a bit more snow through Thursday and Friday. Again, look at the dew points, still freezing cold all the way until the 19th, so another week of below freezing dew points, which again will suggest will suggest snow falling out of the sky, and you look at the 2 metre temperatures generally around 2 or 3 degree highs towards freezing at night. Again, these don't always take into account cloud, fog, and overnight temperatures cooling much more than the model's suggesting, so it could even be colder than this. And of course, if we do compare it to the ECMWF Ensemble members, again, very similar trend, very cold for the next 7 days, turning milder, pretty much all runs turning it milder around the 19th, 20th, and then around the 21st, 22nd, back towards average, some going very cold, some staying very mild, just generally quite a big spread. But of course, from the GM and the GFS suggestion, there is definitely the real possibility if we turn cold once again for Christmas, but no huge sort of sway on that as of now. So anyway, thanks for watching. Make sure you stay safe up there. There could be quite a bit of snow around today and potentially into tomorrow and Tuesday as well. Huge uncertainty with it. The models are really not coping with it at all. But of course, these are very small systems that are very difficult to pinpoint and predict exactly where they're going to drop snow. So again, the best thing to do is just to keep an eye on the live radar, and of course look at the Met Office weather warnings, as there could even be an amber warning put out for southeast England today if we did see that big band of snow stay intact and move inland quite swiftly. So we'll have to see exactly how that does develop. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.